Yeah,
Should have
come
just
on,
had the
guys.
cocaine Celsius. It would have been all fine. Oh God.
This is
But
watermelon lemonade flavor.
I liked that flavor. Yeah, I did like that flavor.
Just a
But
hint of cocaine. You can't really even taste
the sensation of my heart beating out of my chest didn't help with my
it.
anxiety. So goodness. Well, welcome back to Mariner Mondays. Obviously Brittany is here with me. I did not mean to rhyme. I am not Dr. Seuss. We might have Jake pop in at some point. We hypothesize that he carried his Oakleys too hard, karaoke perhaps that as well too much. We'll see.
Karaoke bar got the best of him. And we've all
Hey,
been there. We've all been there.
it was a Sunday night in early June.
Yeah. Yep.
Hell yeah, brother. I mean, it's pretty decently hot too. I mean, I'm sure folks are enjoying the weather. I hate the sensation of sweating through everything, but here we are. Um, Sweating through the weather and sweating through Mariner games lately because this ball club really has decided to skirt along in struggling fashion and do so to the point where they are now 2.5 games behind the Houston Astros for the top spot in the American League West. Death, taxes, and the Mariners losing any form of lead in the American League West division to the Houston Astros. I really regret the day that they ever joined the American League. That's the Mariners' own fault for playing like this, but still, I really wish they just would have stayed over there. Um, this past week of games is ugly, Brittany. Ugh. I mean,
It was so
like
rough.
even the stretch of games we had last week where it was Nats Twins. I mean, they barely squeaked out 3 wins there. Like they very easily could have lost all but one of those games because they thumped the hell out of the Nats in the first game. But then everything else was ugly, and they very well could have been swept by the Twins. Funny enough, um, I mean they did get swept by the Baltimore Orioles, who I
Oh,
think after that they had won. I think I read that right because the next game after this, they went down to Oakland for, oh my God. Yeah, they went down to Oakland for a series, and the MLB.com banner said, Red Hot Orioles face the, no, it was a picture of Lawrence Butler, and it goes, Orioles, Athletics try to give Orioles rare L. I'm like, what do you mean rare L? Like, they've been one of the worst teams in the American League all season, and they win 6 games. Yeah, they're sitting in the basement of the fucking American League East, and they go and sweep the Mariners, and all of a sudden they're hot. Yeah, they lost the series to the Athletics down in Sacramento. Jesus. Oh, because they swept. Yeah, they swept the White Sox, and then they swept us. Great. Great. Awesome. Oh God. Yeah, that Orioles series, man, not great. All of a sudden, the Orioles pitching that had been atrocious for the 2025 MLB season was not so atrocious.
mm,
Tamayaku,
it was still atrocious. We made it look
yeah,
like it wasn't.
it was coughing bomb versus no, coughing bomb. Yes,
Yeah.
coughing baby versus coughing baby. Tamayaku Sagano, I was like, brother, how are you throwing 7 innings of 1 run baseball?
It's
And you look at
embarrassing.
the Mariners lineup and you see two
That's so
strikeouts from
embarrassing.
Julio, two strikeouts from Randy, good strikeout from everybody else except for JP and Jorge actually, and Ben Williamson, who has been hitting the baseball pretty well of late. Um, wow, that's right. They lost on their first Pride Night of the month, so Mariners are anti-gay. That is a joke. Um, Oh yeah, and then Adley Rutschman decided to hit the baseball this series. Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
guy who's
of
been
all the time.
horrible. He was hitting the ball really hard.
Yeah.
Like even the hits he got that weren't homers were hit hard, and I was like, nice, great. I mean, in the second game, Emerson had a solid start. It's 5 2/3 of 1 run baseball. Oh, that's right. And then Dan pulled him, and I was like, dude, he gave up a solo shot. Like I don't know. I thought that was weird. He gave up a solo shot. He had 89 pitches. I was like, just let him finish the fucking inning. Gabe Spire did end up giving up a run,
Ugh.
uh, but I don't know. That was also, oh, that's right, because then they had Vargas gave up a run. Poor Vargas. I don't know. I feel bad. They've used Vargas a lot this year, and he's kind of
Yeah.
now like semi recently been stinky poo. And I'm like, ah,
We
well,
thought he was going to be DFA'd and not even make the roster to start this
no,
year. He was
yeah.
not
So
prepared to be used in this kind of role.
no.
No.
Um, oh God, yeah. And then they got fucking swept, and on a day that Cal had 2 hits and 3 ribbies, and I was like, oh, he wasted another Cal. People are starting to be like, yeah, Cal Raleigh is the next Tungsten Arnold Doyle.
Yep.
I'm like, oh Jesus, we're
Yep.
getting into Angels territory. And then they lose 2 or 3 to the Angels. I mean, my God,
It's like my worst nightmare.
it is. Well, yeah, no, it was funny because we're gonna do a humiliation ritual now, Brittany. It was Brittany's birthday over the course of the past week. And it was very fitting. The morning after is what was the video that was on my like for you page for YouTube was the game that John Boy broke down in Anaheim where the Angels forgot how to play defense, which it could be a lot of games, in all fairness.
But that
Um,
was the Mariners this weekend.
yes,
They
yeah.
thought
And
they were
so
the
they
Angels.
they did a tribute to you and they said, "Hey, watch this." And they decided to be run by Arte Moreno, you know. Uh yeah, first game, Bryce Miller kind of had a stinker poo poo. Um oh God, 5 runs, 5 innings.
Oof.
It was this one was really frustrating, and there's a trend here because yeah, that all of the scoring in this game came through the third through fifth innings, and the Mariners would do something offensively. They'd get runs the hard way or good old fashioned baseball. J.B. Crawford single to score Ben Williamson. Uh, oh yeah, Julio triple. That's right over the head of Joe Adell. So maybe
Mm.
not so old fashioned baseball, but just stuff that's not relying on the long ball, which I think is nice to see because they so often over the last few. Oh yeah, Rowdy Tellez sack fly with the bases loaded that a few feet is a homer, but God forbid. Uh, Ground out to score a run. I'm like, okay, you're actually scoring runs that's somewhat sustainable, but they would give it up right back. Travis Darno, who now has 2 homers on the season, hit a homer. So, oh
Completely
yeah, and
forgot he
former
was on the Angels, by the way. Like, that did not. Like, once I saw him, I was like, oh, yeah, the Angels picked him up. And that just did not even register
land
for
of
me.
lost toys,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Very
and
well
with
put.
the other guy and Chris Taylor, who decided to wake the fuck up after being
Yes.
DFA'd by the Dodgers and taunt the Mariners again for being a former Mariner. Yeah,
It's such
Bryce
a
did.
predictable storyline, man.
Oh yeah, Bryce didn't look great, and they lost that first game. That second game, I mean, it was kind of more of the same. Well, I guess in the form of the Mariners getting a lead and then immediately coughing it back up. Um, because they scored 3 in the first. I mean, Cal homered what twice in this one? Yeah, Cal homered twice, including in the first inning. And I think, okay, and then the bottom of the second, excuse me, no, top of the second, JP singles to score Cole Young. And I think, oh wow, 4 runs in the first 2 innings, pretty good. Luis, don't choke, like don't cough anything up. What does he immediately do in the bottom of the second? Is give up 2 solo shots, and I'm like, great, solo shots can't hurt you, right? Well, they can when they multiply. Uh, I mean, then the third started off rough, right? Because it was that. Oh, they gave the error to Rowdy Tellez. Interesting.
They
Um,
did. I noticed that.
it's a tough play. I
Yeah.
mean, it's tough to give it to Cal, but I thought maybe the throw was a little low.
He's got to make that throw. He knows that too.
Um, oh yeah,
Yeah.
but Taylor Ward reaches on that to score Zach Neto. Chris Taylor doubles. Joe Adell homers twice. He said, "Look at me, also another Mariner killer." There's so many
Yeah.
fucking Angels on this
Yeah.
roster. Joe Adell, Taylor Ward's annoying as shit. Um,
I
but
think Mike Trout transferred all of his
he did.
powers to Joe Adell.
My dad texted me after the um finale of this game, the Mariners did win. To wrap up my rambling about the past week, and he goes, "This Mike Trout sold his stakes in ownership of the Seattle Mariners." I go, I guess, because he looked like shit against them in this game. I think he only had the one hit on the series, and it was in this game. Um, they scored in the top of the first again. Randy Rosarena doubled of his two doubles in this game, which I really hope that's the start of something for him. Um, Taylor Ward homered again because sure, why not, right? And then there was the comedic inning, Brittany, where Jorge Polanco and Donovan Solano both singled to score 2 runs for the Mariners and give them a lead. To
As we all
score
predicted.
Randy and to score Mitch Garver.
Yeah, as we all predicted.
Yeah.
Come on.
Um, George pitched really well outside of a single to Mike Trout, which again I think was his one hit of the series.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that Taylor Ward homer. 14 fucking strikeouts.
Hell yeah.
No walks, which hasn't been done. 14 or more strikeouts and no walks hasn't been done since 1997 for the Mariners when Randy Johnson did it. And only 3 other times has it occurred with Randy doing it twice and Mark Langston doing it one time. So um yeah, Brittany, another fucking week from hell. Um any generalized thoughts before we get into a few things? Because
You summed it up pretty well there.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
they've kind of like limped along like, a poor like bunny rabbit that's been like stepped on. I don't know, it's ugly baseball over the
yeah,
past
it is
month.
ugly baseball. It's uninspired baseball. It is um, baseball where I'm looking around and wondering if anyone other than Cal Raleigh is locked in. You have bad stretches, right? That happens in baseball, but good God, it is like you mentioned Randy, and I'm thinking of an at bat where he just looked completely defeated and overpowered by a pitcher who I couldn't even tell you who it was because they were a nobody. So I don't know. It is the floor for this team is depressingly low, and we're seeing it now. And unless you get for sure Julio going and keep JP going. JP and Cal have kind of been your only ones going. And get a little bit more out of the kids, Ben and or Cole. You need Randy to be better. He has to be better.
Yeah.
We
Oops.
need to see some life from like the first base platoon if this is what we're doing. Like we are really committing to the bit now. And I get it. The trade deadline is it's a ways out. But it doesn't look like Tyler Locklear is on his way up anytime soon. He's still struggling. He hasn't cut down on the strikeouts. So it looks like this is your first base option. Luke Raley is coming back. He's not a very good first baseman. So I don't know if that is
Excuse me.
his. Um,
Oh.
I don't know if he and even then, what are you going to do? Have two lefty first basemen? So it's a it is a mess. How lovely that they hit the ball in the month of April and didn't have a cold start for once and forever, but they just rolled all that over to May, and May was abysmal, and June has started off even worse.
It is really ugly to look at some of these recent splits for guys. Because, as you mentioned, JP and Cal, JP's hitting 370 over the last seven, 333 over the last 15. And I mean, you could even go last 30, 274 is pretty solid. You look at some of the other guys, you know, this Julio almost got hurt in that second game, right?
Yeah.
No, in
Yep.
the first game,
No,
it
it was the
was in the
second
second.
game. Yeah.
Yes, where he took was it a bouncer or a liner?
It was a bouncer, 90 miles an hour off the bat.
Yeah, I hit him in the lower leg shin area, and I was like, shit, well, you're fucked. I mean, because again, as many struggles as he's had, or these like conceived struggles, because he's still a very valuable player. I mean, the numbers will tell you that. And not just the numbers. The fucking eye test will tell you that because Leody Taveras comes in to play center, which is his natural position, and decides to forget
Oh,
how to play the game of baseball. It's funny because yeah, he was touted as this guy, and I know his struggles were documented. I know that, but the only like positive thing about him when he was picked up here was that he can play defense really well in the outfield, and
yeah, it has seemed like he is lost out there. And
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what's
if
going
it's
on.
like he's not doing a good job adjusting to T-Mobile at first. That's what I thought it was, like watching the way he was reading the ball, some of the ways he was approaching the warning track and the wall, and the
Mm,
ball like hitting the wall 3 feet to where he ended up. I thought, maybe he's just adjusting to T-Mobile, but did not look much better in Anaheim. Let's just say that was one of the worst reads I've ever seen.
it was
Um,
terrible. I
uh,
mean, the one he let drop in front, I thought that was really weird. I was like,
that's
when
awful. That's so awful.
maybe,
That's inexcusable, quite frankly. That cannot happen.
yeah. So I thought I was crazy when that happened. I was like, am I like overthinking it, or it's because you have like the equivalent of Superman in center field normally? Because that guy's fucking huge and he can track down anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
again,
kidding.
what's really weird to me is the amount of people who are like, oh, you look at some of the prospects you have in the outfield, and I'm like, sure, they're exciting, but they're like, oh, Julio shouldn't play center anymore. I'm like, you're stupid. I'm sorry. Like, I get that some of that's just maybe hot takeism, but like when he's got the speed and the physical ability that guy has, I'm leaving him out there. I don't know about you. Like, I feel like that's a later discussion, but
He is an incredible defensive center fielder.
and he
He
can
is
still get
so good.
better. Like,
He's better.
so, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, let's look at like again the struggles that Julio's had. He's hitting 306 over the last 15 games and 288 over the last 30, which solid. This one kind of surprised me. It's a lot lower in terms of ABs, but Miles Mastroboni over the last 15 games he's played is hitting 417.
Yep.
So,
Not a lot of
well,
plate appearances, but
no,
we think about who is going to be like a corresponding roster move soon
that's
for Luke Rayleigh and or Dom Canzone. Um, and man, Cody Tavares is your worst player right now. It's not Miles
it's
Mastrobuoni.
I don't think it should be him. Yeah, and especially given the uh again, Jerry Dipoto regime loves their weird utility players,
They
right?
do. They
So
do.
that's why people are like, oh, why Leo Rivas being sent down, not Mastroboni? I'm like, Leo Rivas can play infield, cannot play the outfield. I love the little guy, but and someone was like, oh, Dylan Moore's versatility. Dylan Moore, as I go back here, he's hitting a
Yeah.
shitty 203 over his last 30 games, and it
Yep.
gets worse from there. Um,
And we kind of predicted this. We kind of talked about this because this happened last year, right? Where he had that really hot stretch
he
last
goes
year.
on his insanity runs.
He was like on MLB Network last year, like right before the Yankees, before they went into the Yankees series. And
Yeah.
then he completely tanked because he had been filling in for JP, who was injured every single
Yep.
day. He is not an everyday player. He's just not.
No,
God, he's
and I
so good
remember
at what he does, but he's not an everyday player.
no, I remember being in Minnesota for that 4-game Twins series, and we were talking to him, and he was like, oh God, that's right." Because do you remember last year that Twin series where post game Root had the camera there, and I was there, I was in the corner. Um, I think it was me, camera guy. Oh yeah, Div was there. That's right, Divish was there. And everyone online on the that watched the Root broadcast, you could Luke Rayleigh was wearing a pineapple shirt. People were giving Luke Rayleigh
Right.
shit for that. I remember seeing that. I was like,
Classy
okay, Luke,
man.
nice shirt, dude.
Classy man.
Yeah. Well, Dylan Moore talked about being, how, it helped him. And I'm like, sure, I can understand how daily, getting a more consistent role can help you. Because if you're just coming off the bench for a spot, like, sure, I can get how, like, rhythm is a thing, right? And seeing the ball, I'm like, sure, I can understand how that'd be frustrating. And if you play well enough, maybe they'll get you a clear cut everyday spot. And especially coming into this year where there's not a lot of clarity at the infield positions, right? He very well could have made a name for himself consistently at third or second base, right?
Yeah, it's just not in the cards for him. I know that's what he's
He's
supposed to say.
he's a
Consistent at
utility guy.
bats, I get it, but yeah, that's just not his mo. And man, he had a really fantastic hot streak in April, and that was
It's
awesome.
nice when you can have him do that, but I just don't think he's an everyday guy. So, I
No,
mean,
you
speaking
just
of
always
your,
know there's the other side of the coin that's going to happen
yep,
there with Demo. It's just inevitable, and it is what
unfortunately,
it
that's how it
is. And
is.
yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, Miles Mastrobroni, that he has options. That's the thing, right? And
It's
so,
yeah.
are they going to admit that this was the wrong guy to take a flyer on with Tavares and eat
It
the
was hitting 167 over his last 15 and .048 over his last seven. Oh,
if they option Mastrobroni or honestly or Ben, which would make sense instead of Tavares because they don't want to eat 3 million or whatever it is. That's gonna have people up in arms.
oh yeah. I mean, again, and I'll let me get through these, okay? Uh, yeah, because you look at the other guys who you'd be keeping. That's, I mean, Jake, Sleepy Jake. Oh, it says he's online. Sleepy Jake. Um, when I sent this Northwest Sports Cards post and he was like, "Be Willie," I was like, "Why?" Like again, I understand wanting to have the guy learn, right? Your thought of having him learn is not a bad. It's not a bad thing to say. It makes sense. I just think again, the options right now of funny because he has not played the field for a while. Jorge Polanco, who's
Blanco.
hitting 165 over his last 30 games and 143 over his last 15. He's hitting 240 over his last seven. Ooh, you know,
He turned back into a pumpkin.
he turned back into a pumpkin. Donovan Solano, Brittany, don't look now. Over his last 7 games, he's hitting 333.
I know. I know.
No, no. Still horrible. Rowdy Tellez, God bless the big man. He's hitting 202 over his last 30 games, 233 over his last 15. Ben Williamson, you look at the shiny toy, 306 over his last 15, 350 over his last seven, 263 over his last 30. Taking that over those fucking guys. Ho Young, he did have his first multi hit game in the second game
Yeah.
of the series, though. So I don't
And he
know.
needs
I
to get
mean,
more plate appearances.
he
It's very
does.
similar to
He
Ben.
does.
Like,
So that, and then my last one to look at all those guys' recent splits is Randy had back to back 3 hit games. So I really hope he's awake because, yeah,
he needs to
so
be
many. You want to talk about those plate appearances? So many of them were just generally uncompetitive. Like
super uncompetitive.
he would come up and they were in big moments over the course of the homestand, and I'm like, I'm not expecting a lot here, buddy.
I know.
Just put it in play, huh? And then I'm like, oh well, can't even do that. So yeah. Let's talk about a Hall of Famer. Um, Randy Johnson is getting his number retired, which is also the same as 51. I mean Ichiro, sorry. I associate 51 with Ichiro. Partially because he's my media guide that is sitting on my table here. Um, this is interesting. I mean, it's not as crazy as I think some folks thought. People are like, oh, how are they going to do this? I'm like, they're just going to put another plaque out there.
Yeah,
That's all
very
it is.
carefully.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just like maybe, and I'm gonna show my age with this. I didn't appreciate Randy Johnson as much because obviously I didn't see him pitch here. But again, you look at some of the numbers he put up and for the duration of time that he played is pretty fucking remarkable. Um, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because it seems to be nice that they've if that they seemingly have mended those wounds because at least
Yeah.
Randy said on the Zoom call that he was on with the media. He, as I have mentioned to Brittany, he is a talker. Um he's very bitter towards previous ownership, which I mean, given ownership of this franchise is not an outlandish thing. But so I don't know. Is there an because I don't feel like there's much like disagreement with this happening per se.
No, it is a little odd that another team already has, you know, he kind of identifies as a Diamondback. That's just he doesn't identify as a Mariner that frequently, except for the couple times a year he hops in on a broadcast or he shows up to spring training. I think it's fine. I think it's great. I think, yeah, mend bridges, all that, whatever. I don't think it's anything crazy. Do I think it's a bit of a money grab? Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I do. Do I think they are seeing the success they're having with Ichiro weekend and the success they had with Felix and thinking, wow, can we do that again? Yeah, I think that's part of it. And that's kind of annoying. But you gotta, marketing teams gotta do their thing. So I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on it. It is what it is. This franchise is gonna do what they're gonna do. He was awesome. He was incredible. He was like unhittable. Um, the incredible like run he went on in the playoffs where he threw a million pitches and uh pretty much threw until his arm like fell off for this franchise like is if you don't know about it, you absolutely got to go back and watch because it is one of the more gutsy, heroic pitching performances you'll ever see. So, yeah, good for Randy. It is what it is. I think he should get a statue? No.
no. I think if yeah, the statue that we've talked about on this show is indeed happening, which, there were the city plans the Mariners have to make when they make all these moves, right? There was a mystery statue in there. It's got to be Ichiro. I mean, it has to be this pose. It very well has to be that pose. And you want to talk about like a money grab. Obviously, it's outside in a public setting, so it's not money grabbing, but it will attract so many fans. So many people looked up to that guy. Obviously, they look up to 24, which is why he's out front and center at home plate, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think both things can be true. You can honor a guy who was one of your greatest players of all time and like the definition, not to detract him just to this, but of a dude, right? You talk about a dude going out
Absolutely.
there, Randy Johnson is that guy.
Yeah.
But you can also, yeah, you can look at the success that, and I think this is true in sports generally, but given this lack of success as a franchise for the Mariners Baseball Club, it makes sense. Teams will want to honor their legends because they know that fans will love the nostalgia and want to pay their respects to somebody that made them feel something. I think
Yeah.
that's something that's true across all sports. But again, because the Seattle Mariners Baseball Club LLC has struggled to perform on the field as a franchise, doing so is a safe bet to ensure butts and seats and merchandise being sold. Both things
Bingo.
can be. So, speaking of another guy who can be a dude and should not be traded, despite what hot take artists online say, fucking George Kirby, man. I
Hell
mean,
yeah.
I think that was one of the first things because Brittany and I, before we start this, we usually talk about what's going to happen on the show or just what the hell we've seen with these guys. I think that was one of the first things that Brittany mentioned.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
besides cocaine Celsius, of course. I mean, it's been tough, right? For this rotation in general. Um, I really don't know what's going to happen with Logan Gilbert, and obviously poor Bryce Miller struggled a bit um since coming back from, well, not even since coming back. His whole season has been a struggle.
Yeah, has been.
Um people are like, oh, Georgia threw it should have been still in AAA. He benefits nothing at all from being down
Yeah.
playing in the PCL
Yep.
anymore.
He's got to get his reps here.
Unfortunately, I don't know how much Bryce benefits from going down right now, right? Because again, pitching in the PCL, like, I think unfortunately you might just have to tank him. And given again what I said, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago with Logan Evans? I'm fine. Like I hate to do this. There's a clip, Brittany. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I know you're not super big on basketball, where if you know who Ben Simmons was, he was this highly touted young player, and Colin Cowherd, which will tell you all you
Oh
need to know
boy.
about this,
Yep.
goes, "Okay, LeBron, Ben Simmons is here. We're good." Like, not to be like that, but it's like, "Hey, Bryce, you need to have surgery. Go ahead, buddy. Logan Evans is here." I mean, I, you know, anyway, to get back to it, I think I bring it up because I think there's a similar route that might, it appeared to be on, but George has seemingly found a breakout. Bryce hasn't found a breakout all year,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
think even in George's last start, he wasn't that bad. I
No,
could
you
be wrong.
saw shades of vintage George
Yes,
Kirby, and then he
that's
kind of went downhill in his last start, and that's when I really felt like, no, okay, you gotta stick with him here. Like we're making steps in the right direction with
oh
George. It
yeah.
has felt like yes, those outings were not they were bad, but you saw glimpses of the pitcher we know him to be, and finally it all came together. Is he going to strike out 14 every single time he goes out moving forward? No, he is not. Will he give up a run or two? Yes. But if he can keep it to 6, 7 innings pitched, 3 runs, like we will 100% take that. Give him the space, the time to acclimate, to get more comfortable, get back to George Kirby. We know this is what he needed to do without, not having a spring training. This is exactly the progression. Is it tough? Those 2, 3 games that he really struggled? Yeah. But then you get yet Sunday's performance. Bryce has not had any glimpses of Bryce Miller with velocity, being able to locate. He just has not looked like himself at all. And I know they are seeing if he can pitch through what sounds like is for sure a bone spur. He has a 9.50 ERA since May 1st. It 9.2 strikeout rate. He's walking guys. It's tough. I I know Logan Evans is not going to have that exceptional performance that he had before he was optioned every single time, but at this point, he is the better option between hurt Bryce Miller and the kid of Logan. So, yeah, I am way more concerned about Bryce Miller than I am about George Kirby. I have no idea what to expect with Logan Gilbert yet. I think you have to also allow yourself to see an outing or two.
He needs a grace
Um,
period.
he needs a grace period. You and I are both skeptical on what that's going to look like. If he's, yeah, I don't know. Um, Emerson Hancock has been perfectly serviceable,
Yep.
and that is exactly why I didn't want to give up on him in the
Hold
beginning of
on,
the year.
Logan. We've
Everyone
got Emerson
was
Hancock.
everyone was done with Emerson Hancock, and I said, "Y'all need to chill a little bit." He's
Fucking
24. He's a kid. Is he going to be a top three in a rotation? No, he is not. But can he go 6 innings,
I
seven
don't need him to
innings,
be.
giving up 2 or 3 runs? Perfect. And that's this rotation. That's what they need to get back to, right? They need to get back to giving up 2, 3 runs max and going at least 6 innings, ideally
Hmm.
7, and then handing it back over to Gabe, Brash, and or Munoz. That is the formula this team is built on. And it
Yep.
doesn't work when Bryce Miller is giving up 5, 6, etc. runs. Doesn't work when Luis Castillo does that either. Um,
No.
that is a whole other issue. So
That's yeah.
this rotation it's been really tough. It has been a struggle. George Kirby yesterday was everything you needed him to be and more, and that really set a fantastic tone. So my concerns are number one, Bryce Miller. Um, I don't know if you run him out one more time. Do you dare to do that? I don't know. Um, Two, what are we going to be getting with Logan Gilbert? And we don't really know that yet. And then three, Luis Castillo has been good this year, but God, he cannot pitch with a lead. What is that?
He,
It's got to
yeah,
be a mental thing. It's some mentality, and he, he's an older pitcher. I don't know if that's something you can fix at his age, but man, he can't pitch with a lead. So I guess when Castillo's on the mound, the offense just needs to do its typical sleepy thing and really slow play the
oh,
runs.
look, Luis, no lead. It's okay, buddy. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I will go back and take my victory lap. Everyone fucking shit on me about Emerson Hancock after he struggled in his
With
first
you.
outing.
I'm
I
with you.
told, I said it. You can go back in the show. I said he's been very perfect, serviceable. We need to talk about serviceable because
Yeah.
people think serviceable isn't like throwing a bunch of Maddoxes. No, he eats innings. That's all I needed him to do. As you mentioned, he's
Yes.
not going to be a top three. I don't need him to be. And I think we got selfish in seeing again the historic year that last year was
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons, but also because of what Emerson brings. He is a very normal rotation guy, like a dude that's very serviceable. I mean, he could probably be a good top rotation guy for some of the teams in this league, which isn't saying a ton given some of the teams in this league, right? But so like and also, yeah, you mentioned he's not old. I don't know what this like
He's still a
because he's
kid.
not a spry 18-year-old that he needs to be taken out back and shot like a wounded calf. You know, players can develop further. He's shown that with this fucking velocity.
Yeah, man, good for him. He's hit 97 a couple times. Didn't know he
Our
had that in
pitcher
him.
Emerson Hancock. Yeah, I don't know. With George, his Baltimore outing wasn't even that bad. I mean, the 8 hits isn't
No,
great,
not
but he
till the
only
end.
gave up 2 runs. You know, I mean, yeah, you look at his Houston and well, it's weird because for a little bit his Houston outing, obviously it was short with 3 2/3, but things were going pretty well, and then they snowballed, right? The strikeout numbers haven't been there, and then he says, "Hold on, I got it. I'm back. I'm awake."
Y'all chill.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to give grace period. They're not going to come back and look like ace level guys. They're not going to come back immediately and look like who they were last year. You know, yeah. As you said, no idea what Logan Gilbert's going to look like. I mean, he kind of brushed aside concern with his velo going down after his last Tacoma rehab start. I think he's supposed to go again tomorrow, so we'll see
That'll be
then
interesting.
because they want you want him to build up a little bit more capacity, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised you talk about capacity. I forgot it was his fourth start. With George throwing 96 pitches yesterday, I was like, wow. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, it certainly presents things because, yeah, I mean, if Logan's ready, I mean, it presents the question, okay, are you going to a 6 man? Are you finagling? How are you doing this? Because, I mean, with the roster construction rules, if you go to a 6 man, you're losing a reliever.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Can you afford to lose a reliever? I mean,
no, I don't think so.
if your starters figure it out and are going at least 6 innings every outing, then you can afford to lose a reliever, perhaps. The way things have been going, no. And you need, you need more out of that bullpen, and stretching them even more than isn't going to do it, isn't going to help.
No.
Um, Trent Thornton's back. You want to talk about that?
Uh, mm, I think my
Yippee.
feelings on the bullpen, I think it brought him up pretty well. It's just tough because, again, and maybe some fans don't realize that, but they were taxed pretty heavily in the beginning of the year just because of how much of a dumpster fire the rotation was, unfortunately. Whether that was just not being able to go deep enough or the struggles that they had. Sorry, I'm like mid sneeze and it just won't leave. Um, for some reason, when it gets hot here, I also sneeze a lot, which is weird. Um, it's really nice to have Matt Brash back. Jackson Coar's been a revelation, which is fun. Uh, he knock on wood, he still has not given up a run. Um,
Kolar has it?
nope.
Are you sure?
Yep. I looked at it last time. Well, did something happen recently? I don't think so. Nope. Oh, wait. 1 point. Yeah, something did
Yeah.
happen recently. Oh, it was his last outing. Fuck.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if I
I
remember
forgot they used
correctly,
him back
that
to
just
back.
happened. But still, yes, he's been
And it was one run.
relatively, yeah, it's been one, it was one. He has done well. Uh, are they overusing him already? He just got off Tommy John.
Yeah, I don't
Back
know.
to
It was
back outings
interesting
of 30
hearing
plus
him.
pitches.
Ooh. It was interesting hearing it. It was interesting hearing him talk to uh, Shannon Drayer about he said, "Yeah, I'm ready to go. If they need me to go back to back, I'm ready. I don't know what they're thinking." I'm like, "Okay, buddy. I'm gonna trust the people who are paid a lot of money to like learn about your body and health as opposed to a pitcher." But
Yeah.
especially a guy who's coming off TJ, like who talks a lot. Again, the TJ guys talk a lot.
They've
Um,
been cooped up, man. They're lonely. They were
yeah,
locked
I
down
know.
in Arizona. They,
I'm one
they
of those
missed their
things. They're not
friends.
special. Um, yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, I'd be wary. It's been interesting to see how much they're starting to rely on Matt Brash again. It's just like you have this thing that you could use, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't use it that much, and then all of a sudden you're starting to do it a lot. I'm like, oh,
Speaking of
okay,
giving up runs, he is the only one that has not. He has
be
not given up
careful with that.
an earned run yet. Yet he will. He will. He's not perfect, but God, he's looked gross. I wasn't sure what to expect with Matt Brash coming off because you never know, right? Coming off TJ, and
Yeah,
I know he had the abbreviated version of it with the brace, but man, he has looked just vintage Matt Brash, and it's still sometimes a roller coaster to watch those outings. Sometimes he gets a little, doesn't know where the ball is going, and but God, that couple of those at bats yesterday,
he's
just don't even
gross.
come up to the plate. Just call it. Just white
He's
flag.
gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Quite
This
young.
pitching staff is some it's got some struggles. That's for sure. Gabe has been great. Matt has been great. I don't know what your plan for Vargas is. He does not have any options. They've ran him really hard, and he had a couple really good outings and was good for them. And now he might be turning into a pumpkin.
Uh,
The Colin Snyder experiment looks to be all but over. Probably should be.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
They got their usage out of him last year, and it's again the Woody from Toy Story. Play
Yep.
with you anymore.
Yeah. Casey Legamina has not turned into Paul Seawald, unfortunately. He still might, but he is not. Um, yeah. I don't.
Shintaro
Edward
Fujinami?
Bizarro
Question
has
mark.
somehow been fine. I that one's still weird to me.
They have him come in and eat a few innings, and well, he had a decent outing during the series, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Well, and then people try to discount George's outing and be like, oh, the Angels. I'm like, don't get me wrong, they're annoying as shit. You can still hit the baseball. I mean, they're
They can.
top three in homers this year?
For a long time, they led the league in home runs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's
Yeah.
not discount that. I mean, they're so pesky as shit. They at least can put the ball in play typically, unlike the Mariners. So yeah, we kind of run it pretty close here. Do you have any general thoughts on where this team is at? Because, the copium in me wants to be like, hey, like Cal's basically the second coming of Jesus Christ, apparently. JP's hitting the ball well. You know, hopefully you're getting something out of Randy. Ben Williamson. I'm not concerned about Bill. I will admittedly like maybe I've taken up like co-vice president operations at the Ben Believers Club, but he's putting the ball in play. That's all I can give a fuck about. He's like, and he's oh god, some of the plays in the Angel series. Oh, it's so fun to watch. Play third
Yeah.
base.
Yeah. He's really gotten comfortable over there at
I'm
third.
just letting it ride with
Yeah.
him. Um, Who knows what Dominic Canzone can bring? One of our followers on Blue Sky was like, "Hey, he's running a 300 BABIP in AAA." I'm like, "Sure, you know."
AAA.
But the point was also made: if you're gonna have him be up here, have him play. Don't let him get five ABs and then just like throw him back in the corner. And I mean, if it is, I think if I'm Gerald Depoto or I know that would be something, wouldn't it?
God forbid.
Um, I already talk a lot, but that would be different talking a lot. Um, or Hollander. I'm either getting rid of Tavares because it just hasn't played out, and yeah, if Luke Raley's coming down the chute, you've got him to come back at some point. If Canzone doesn't work out and he truly is a quad A guy, right? Which I think he is.
Yeah.
Um, or you do admit the mistake that is Donovan Solano, but then you are still basically just running out Rowdy Tellez, which you kind of have already done, right? Or you decide to play Demo or Polanco there, which sure, and you try to get some struggling guys, ABs still without compromising the DH spot or a spot in the infield where I frankly trust Ben Williamson or want Cole Young to get more ABs than those two right now, right?
There's way too many holes that you can
Yep.
fill at the trade deadline. I mean, you need, and this is no different of a conversation than we had before the season started, except for all of a sudden I'm saying, hey, you might need to go get Andrew Heaney for the rotation.
Mean dog.
Which I kind of felt like you needed rotation help to begin with because no, they were not going to stay that healthy. Um, you need at least one back end bullpen addition and probably a fifth, sixth inning guy. You need a first baseman
Mhm.
and ideally a third baseman. If he's not going to hit lefties, then Mitch Garver, I don't know what his future looks like. He needs to at least be able to do that. And he was for a while. He was he was doing it for a while. He needs to get back to that. This can't keep going. Um, so I mean, you can't do all of that at the trade deadline. So yeah, you're gonna need probably Ben Williamson to figure out how to hit big league pitching more consistently. You are going to need Dom Canzone and or Luke Raley to come in and fill in and be good, be decent. Uh, I don't know what to say about first base. I'm kind of at a loss there. I go get someone. Let's not do the Solano experiment. I know he's hitting whatever over the last week or whatever. It's just not. He's 38, 39. I don't know, man. There's just not.
37.
You can't fix it all at the trade deadline. You can't. So maybe Julio goes on a generational run again in July or August. Regularly scheduled Julio hot streak, and you pair that with Cal, ideally, hopefully continuing to do what he does, and you pair that with Kirby being Kirby and Hancock being serviceable, and ideally Logan Evans coming up and being serviceable, and then rolling the dice from there, and maybe you can stay afloat right to the trade deadline. Um, but if they keep playing like this, it's not. They're going to be sunk. So such a crazy turn in conversation from like a month ago when they were
Yeah,
like, "Oh, the bats are picking up the pitching. They can hit. They're second in the league in WRC plus. This is great." And it
something
just wasn't.
happened.
It wasn't sustainable.
No, but it's
Yeah.
been fascinating to see like some of the collapses that they've had and the last
Yeah.
it's funny they win 9 series in a row, right?
Yep.
And then, really I date back to the Blue Jays series in May, right? You've lost 6 of the last 9 series. Okay. You get swept by the Blue Jays. You get thumped in game 1 by the Yankees. You played 2 close games after that, but you still lose the series. You sweep the Padres. You win the series against the White Sox. You lose the series to the Astros. You play 2 of 3 ugly games against the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
Okay. You squeak out 2 wins over the Twins, which, you know, I don't think Minnesota's a bad ball club. So I don't feel too bad about that. But then you decide to shit the bed against a team that has shit the bed this season and shit the bed in the past offseason, which you also kind of did. So maybe it's a similarity thing in the Baltimore Orioles. And then you lose 2 of 3 to a team that's been, littered in obscurity and mediocrity, like you in the Anaheim Angels. So, I mean, it doesn't get easier from here, Brittany. I mean,
It sure does not.
the Diamondbacks, like, they seem to be exploding on themselves. But again, I said this, you could have said that about the Orioles, right? So who cares? How many homers does Gino Suarez hit in this series? And do you try to smuggle him in your own plane when you come back to Seattle? Um, then you play Cleveland, Boston, the Cubs, who are good this year, the Twins for 4. The 4 game series in Minnesota again. And then the Rangers. So who knows what the top of the division looks like by then? And who knows if Logan Gilbert's pitching still then, or Bryce Miller. So yeah, damn it, I should have just kept that up. I don't know why I closed the tab. You idiot. Oh yes. First of 3 against is this gonna be someone else asking me about Ken's on? Oh no. Um First of 3 against the Diamondbacks, both normal start times. How wonderful. 6:40, 6:40 today, tomorrow. 12:40 on Wednesday, day off on Thursday. Then you start a 3 game series against the Cleveland Guardians before I see you guys next time. 7:10 on Friday. Oh, sing along fireworks night. I was like, sing along to what? And it's sing along. Um, Saturday 6:40. It is African American Heritage Night for 10,000 fans. Get the Steelheads cap. Really wish you could wear that jersey normally, but here we are.
Best jersey they
Oh,
have.
it's pretty fucking good. Oh, I don't know why I thought I had it in here. And then Sunday 1:10 start to close out the series against the Guardians is Father's Day Sox giveaway, and it's the hydroplane race Sox. I think the guy who runs the hydroplane tracker should. I'm not a father. Don't know when that'll be. I think they should give me some. Oh God. And then we can do my humiliation ritual next week, which my birthday is on Tuesday. Great.
Woohoo!
Terrible. For
Yeah,
my
my
birthday, I
yes.
would like a first baseman. Can I have not Tyler Locklear? Don't try to rewrap him. I don't want him again. Don't give it. I don't want him again.
I asked for a very similar thing for my
And then they
birthday,
lost on your birthday.
and they were
they,
awful.
they said,
So they did. They really did. Yeah. Yeah.
"Oh my God." Well, all right. Well, good morning to Jake wherever he is. Hope his carry didn't okie too hard. And maybe he sung his voice out. I would pay to see that.
I want an
Hey,
update.
he was just celebrating the Texas softball win in the Women's College World Series. That's all it
Yes,
was.
congratulations to Texas. I was rooting for Texas Tech and Kennedy,
She had a
but
fun story though. I can
they,
understand
yeah,
that.
yeah, they could
Who's
only ride the $1 million arm so far and so long, and she ran out of gas.
who won the
Um,
baseball one? Do you know?
they're still qualifying for
Oh,
men's.
Jesus.
Yeah,
They take too
they're
long.
always way behind.
Oh, that's right. Because I saw Oregon State.
They won last
Um,
night.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn Oregon State. I thought they weren't that good this year. Goddamn bitches.
They looked good yesterday.
Oh, this bracket's ugly.
Yeah,
Oh, Murray State? Oh
yeah.
my God. All right. I'm gonna not look at that much longer. All right. Well, till we see you, what next Monday is the 5th? No, 16th. I'm on drugs. Till we see you
Mhm.
then. I'm not the one. You are. You've got the Celsius. See you next time. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Don't sponsor us. I don't want cocaine sponsorship. Uh, take care of yourself. Be well. Do what we can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about those M's?
Oh, I'm excited.
I know. Where are you going to watch all those away games, though?
Away games. Huh. I was thinking of coming here since, after all, Rough and Tumble is the home of circling Seattle sports.
I love that idea. Hope to see y'all here.